Hi. So let's discuss topology now, in which we have a multiple VLAN and we have a DHCP server behind the router. This R1 is common for LAN user as well as for the DHCP. DHCP connected to the router over the port number gigabyte 0/1. So this interface must have the IP address configured, so that this IP address DHCP server use as a gateway address. Clear? Second, we have VLAN 10, we have VLAN 20, but between the router and the core switch I have only one single physical link. It means I have to create a sub interface on the router 1 on interface gigabyte/0 dot 10 and dot 20, and the switch 1 port gigabyte 0/1 we will configure as a trunk port for VLAN 10 and for VLAN 20. So first let's configure the VLAN on the switches. Configure VLAN interface connected to the router as a trunk interface. Then we will create a sub interface on a router. Then we will configure the gigabyte/1 interface, and finally we will configure the DHCP server IP address and the DHCP pool. In this scenario, guys, you have to configure the two different pools, right? One for VLAN 10, one for VLAN 20. That is for sure. Okay, switch 1 CLI, come on fast, enable configuration terminal VLAN 10, then VLAN 20, no problem, right? Without having name you can use show VLAN. Yes, I can see VLAN 10, VLAN 20, right? Now assign the interface, right? Let's first configure the trunk interface. Okay, we have a two interface, right? That should be configured as a trunk. One is gigabyte/1, which is connected to the router, and another is gigabyte/2, which is connected to the switch 2. Both interface should be configured as a trunk. Okay, where is my switch? Where is my? Okay, perfect. Then interface gigabyte. Oh my bad. You have to go to the configuration terminal, which is global configuration mode, right? Global configuration mode. Then interface gigabyte 0/1 switch port mode trunk switch port trunk allowed VLAN 10 20. Okay, clear? No shutdown is not required, right? Because it's not a router, it's a switch, right? Exit, then gigabyte 0/2, then switch port trunk allowed VLAN 10 20 switch port mode trunk. Okay, just cross verify the configuration. Yes, 0/1 1020 allowed mode trunk, 0/2 1020 allowed mode trunk. Perfectly fine. One more command, right? To view your trunk interface, show interface trunk. Two interface. Oh, where is the 0/1 interface? You cannot see the 0/1 interface here. You have configured 0/1 as a trunk, but you are not able to see it over here. Why? Because it is in a shutdown state, right? Why it is in shutdown state? Because router interface currently is in shutdown, right? Okay, if you want to know more about, let's go to the interface, show IP int brief. See, it's showing down, right? Line protocol down, administrative down, line protocol down. Here this is not an administrative down, guys. This is just down because line protocol is down. So once we will no shut down the router interface, automatically your switch interface gigabyte 0/1 will come up, no problem. Okay, Perfect. Now let's go and configure the FA0/1 and FA0/2 part of VLAN 10. So configuration terminal, interface range, fast Ethernet 0/1 to 2, range, switch port mode access, switch port access VLAN 10. Okay, end WR main. Then go to the switch 2, right? Switch 2, on the switch 2 configure the VLAN 1020, right? VLAN 10, then VLAN 20. Okay, end, right? Just verify, show VLAN. Yes, I can now see the VLAN 10 and VLAN 20 configured on a switch. Let's configure the back-to-back port connected to the switch 1, configured as a trunk. Interface gigabyte 0/2. Am I correct? It's 2, right? Yeah, gigabyte 0/2. Switch port mode trunk, switch port trunk allowed VLAN 10 and 20. Clear? Exit and configure FA0/5 and 12 as a VLAN access 10, access VLAN 10 I can say. Okay, 20, my bad, right, correct. FA0/5 switch port mode access, switch port access VLAN 20, exit. Then interface FA0/12 switch port mode access, switch port access VLAN 20. Perfectly fine. Now the both the switches having a VLAN 1020, and we have configured interface back-to-back interface as a trunk, and the interface connected to router configured as also as well as a trunk. Okay, go to the router 1. Now it's time to configure the router, guys. It's time to configure the router. Let's configure the router interface connected to the LAN switch, not a DHCP switch, LAN switch. Configuration terminal, interface gigabyte 0/0, no shutdown, no shut, right? Currently it is in orange. Why? STP calculation, right? 52 seconds. Okay, so no shutdown. Go back to the global connection mode. Interface gigabyte 0/0.10, which is my sub interface. Encapsulation .1Q10 means VLAN ID 10, and then you can configure the IP address. IP address 172.16.10.1, which is the IP address for VLAN 10, gateway address for VLAN 10 machines. Okay. See, we already no shut the parent interface. No need to no shut your child sub interface. Okay. Then interface gigabyte 0/0.20. Then encapsulation .1Q20, IP address 172.16.20.1, 255.255.255.0. Perfectly fine, guys. Show IP INT brief. Right now both sub interface having the valid IP address and status showing up. Here status showing up. WR name. Yes. So now we have configured the VLAN. Yes. Configure the trunk. Yes. Then configure the VLAN 20. Yes. Configure as a trunk. Perfect. We have configured the router 1 interface gigabyte 0/1. Yes. Configure the 2 sub interface. Yes. VLAN 1020. Right. Perfect. Next. Configure the router interface gigabyte 0/1, which is connected to the switch 2. Right. Okay. So router 1 configuration terminal, interface gigabyte 0 0/1, right? First, no shutdown, IP address. What is my IP address here? 10.10.10.1 255.255.255.0. Okay, that's it. WR mem, right memory. Next, here we have only one VLAN 1, right? We do not have any VLAN over here on a switch 2. Plain default VLAN 1, which you cannot delete, right? VLAN 1. Now let's go and configure the DHCP server. First, assign the IP address to the DHCP server. Before configure the pool, you have to first assign the IP address to the DHCP server. What is my IP address? 10.10.10.100. Subnet mask 255.255.255.0. Default gateway, which is configured on a router 1 interface, gigabyte/1 10.10.10.1. Clear? Okay. So let's ping your default gateway 10.10.10.1. Yes, I can able to see my default gateway. It means the reachability between the DHCP server and the default gateway is perfectly fine. Right? Now go and create two separate pool. One pool for the VLAN 10 and another pool for VLAN 20. Okay? Two pools we would require. Why? Because when request is received from the VLAN 10, you should get the IP address from VLAN 10 range only. For VLAN 20, you should get the IP address from the VLAN 20 only. Right? So configure the DHCP pool. Go to the service, DHCP, first on the service. Then configure the pool name. Pool name is pool 1 VLAN 10. Gateway. What is the gateway IP address we have configured on a sub interface? That should be the gateway address. Okay. So in this case, we have configured the gateway address as a 172.16.10.1/24. Am I correct, guys? Right? And 20.1 configured on a gigabyte/0.20 interface. Perfect. So for the pool, guys, my gateway is 172.16.10.1. Start IP 172.16. Oh, my bad. 172.16.10.10. Subnet mask perfectly fine, right? And then add. Yes, I have added the pool. Oh, okay. I forgot to actually, basically, guys, sorry, I forgot to configure the DNS 8.8.8.8 and just click on the save. Pool 1. Now do one thing, guys. Configure the pool 2. Right? You can configure the pool 2. Pool 2 VLAN 20. It's just a name. Nothing related to VLAN. There is no relationship between the VLAN ID and a pool name. It's just a name. It can be anything. Right? Then your default gateway is 172.16.20.1 for VLAN 20. Start pool, DNS 8.8.8.8. Start IP 172.16.20.10. Right? Perfect. Add pool. See, two pools I have added. Guys, DHCP, you have configured the pool for VLAN 20 and here you have configured the 172.16.20.1 as the default gateway. This IP address you have configured on the router sub interface gigabyte/0/10. Similar way, just meter. Yeah, similar way for a pool 1. Actually, no, sorry, my bad. It's a 20, right? So this IP address we configured on a gigabyte/0.20, and this gateway IP address 172.16.10.1 configured on a router interface gigabyte/0/0.10. So guys, now DHCP server is not in the VLAN 10, neither in the VLAN 20. It is behind the router. So what you have to do? You have to configure the IP helper address command on gigabyte 0/0/0.10 as well as on interface gigabyte 0/0.20, right, on the both interface. If we will have the 10 sub interface, again you have to configure the IP helper address command on all 10 sub interface. You have to. And in the IP helper address command, what will the IP address? IP address of the DHCP. Clear? Go to the router. Go to the router. Then configuration terminal. Okay. Then go to the sub interface, not on the parent interface. Right? 0/0/0.10 IP helper sub interface IP helper address 10.10.10.100, which is the DHCP server IP address. Enter. Then go to the interface gigabyte 0/0.20 command IP helper address 10.10.10.100. Perfect. Now both the interface, on the both interface we have configured the IP helper address command. What will happen, guys, over here? When this router receive the broadcast on interface gigabyte 0/0.10, it will convert it about DHCP broadcast. It will convert into the unicast, and in the unicast the source IP is 172.16.10.1 and destination DHCP server IP address. When your DHCP server receive the DHCP unicast message on the DHCP server, it will look at the source IP address. This source IP address 172.16.10.1 I have used as a default gateway IP address in one of the pool. So I will assign the IP address from that pool only. Right? Perfect? Okay. So then go to your PC0. Right, then go to the command line. Okay, if config release. Of course your port is not yet configured as DHCP, it is configured as static. That is the reason this command will not work. Go to the IP setting, click on DHCP. Oh, right, I got the IP address 172.16.10.10. Perfect, right? Perfect, yeah. This is for VLAN 10, right? And this PC is the member of VLAN 10, right? Correct? इस पोर्ट पर मैंने क्या कॉन्फ़िगर किया है? Access VLAN 10. On this interface, access VLAN 10. Perfectly, I got the IP address from only VLAN 10 range, right? Accurate मिलता है IP address, right? Next, go to the PC0, desktop, DHCP. Now this machine should get an IP address from VLAN 20 pool, DHCP. Oh, perfect. 172.16.20.10, right? 172.16.20.10. Okay. Next, laptop one. Again, this laptop will get the IP address from the, of course, VLAN 20 range. Okay, why? Because when router receive the broadcast from VLAN 20, it received on interface gigabyte 0/0.20, and on this interface we have configured the IP helper address and the address 10.10.10.100. So when this interface will convert the broadcast into unicast, at that time source IP address will be the 172.16.20.1 and destination IP address 10.10.10.100. When your DHCP server receive the unicast DHCP request, it will first check for the source IP address. Oh, okay, this source IP address I have used as a default gateway address in one of the pool. So I will assign the IP address from that particular pool only. Right? That is the reason, guys. You are getting the proper IP address for the proper IP addresses to the endpoints belongs to the respective VLANs. Clear? Perfect. Chalo. Thank you so much.